So, hello everybody, we are live here in India, in Tonsil, which is on the west coast of India. And here is Andre, a Vedanta teacher, giving a 10-day immersive retreat on the text Viveka Chudamani. And since I'm enjoying it so much, I requested Andre to give an interview in order for me and for you to learn more about your background and what interests you and what are your plans for the future. And I have a few questions prepared, and the first one is on your background. As far as I know, you went to India, to Tiruvannamalai, to visit the holy mountain Arunachala, and you attended a Vedanta retreat with James Swartz. And after that, you got excited and you spent a whole year, you dedicated a whole year to Vedanta without knowing if it's really working. So I was wondering, was it actually difficult for you to spend a whole year on Vedanta, or were you caught with interest to return to the world and abandon your studies?
I was not. Thank you for taking this time to help me out to share my story. I was not interrupted by Vedanta or by any worldly pursuits to go anywhere, because when I found Vedanta, it spoke to me something that I knew about a long time, but I couldn't put it into words. I couldn't put it into a structure, nor into something that sticks, and the glue was missing. And so when I attended, as you said, in Arunachala, after that course took place, I actually went to Thailand to get my certification for a Qigong teacher. And I almost got it when I came back from Thailand, about 10-day retreat. Then some voice in me said, go and finish your studies, go and look at the videos and get to immerse yourself in the teaching more. And when I did, it immediately was like planting, the seeds were there already. They were planted, but the water was now being poured over those seeds. And the reason for that is because of the revision that took place. And the more I started to listen, the more it made sense. And I found the profundity of the vision so immense that I thought, this is more important than anything else.
Okay, so after the retreat, you tried to go to Thailand to finish your Qigong training, but you didn't actually finish. You went back to Australia to re-listen to the videos of the India retreat with James Swartz. Okay.
And I did that again and again and again. And I actually paused the videos every 5 minutes or so, because every snippet had so much profound wisdom that I didn't want to let this pass by. And I've always inquired into everything. I took it seriously. It had so many inquiry-worthy statements that I just didn't want to let anything pass. And so the whole year was basically pausing, playing, writing it down, mind mapping it, walking out, thinking about it, applying it, and thinking, how will I apply this in real life? So it was an immersive, total immersion into this knowledge. And I made that dedicated, and I said, I'm going to understand everything here, because it just spoke so true what is the real meaning of life and what is going to stop this journey. So that was clearly in the program. And for that reason, I spent 3 times watching it over and over again. Over 900 hours. And
so you turned a 30-day retreat into a 12-month retreat.
Into a 12-month retreat.
Very good.
So that was immense. That was immense and intense. A learning experience. It set the foundation.
So there were no obstructions like being pulled back into the world?
No, because as I said, I found the profundity of the vision so huge that the world didn't have the power to do that.
Okay.
And the listeners can relate to this. When you find something so relevant and so it speaks the truth, and yet you cannot quite put it out and you cannot quite connect with it, you have to finish that journey. And I said, I'm not going to leave this because I've been doing that previously and it led to nowhere. So I'm going to now stay and not move until this is assimilated completely. So it was that dedication, persistence, and that stubborn commitment, really, not to go until, almost like Buddha under the Buddha tree. I'm not standing up until I get it. So it's a symbol. It's a symbol of his dedication that no matter what, the world will not distract me. It was the same thing here.
And I assume the years before you engaged with various spiritual activities before you came to Vedanta. Can you elaborate on that?
I think in the sense of prior activities, I don't see it any different from most people that I've talked to. It was really just a hopping and taking snippets of information from different teachers and being impressed and looking up to the great gurus of our time. And all I knew, without mentioning any names, is that I want to have that, whatever that is. Of course, that is enlightenment. And this term enlightenment was, since early age, something that just stood out. And really the first book that brought it forward was I Am That by Nisargadatta. And this book spoke so loudly, the title, not even the text, the title, that I was afraid to open it because I thought this is afraid to open it because I thought this is too much for me. But it spoke, this is the truth. And yet I was afraid of the truth because it was not introduced to me in a way that I can go along with it systematically. So it's really interesting how, though the truth is shining, if we don't have the right guidance, if we don't have that right support, it's okay. That's what a teacher does. It's okay. You can go through this journey. Then just the mere fear of the unknown might stop one from even delving deeper into it. So that was the general basis of hopping from teacher to teacher, trying many things from Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism. I like Tao Te Ching, of course, and any forms of psychology. That was really my big thing before, more than spirituality. And since 17, I spent basically all my time in two things: business, entrepreneurship, and in psychology, clearing up the mind and changing perspectives. And so that paved the way naturally for this profound knowledge to take place, which is why it took place so quickly.
And usually when we engage with non-Vedanta paths, we usually pick up certain ideas, misconceptions. Would you want to share any misconceptions you got from engaging with the Tao Te Ching and other paths?
In terms of misconceptions, there are there are both few, but there are also many. And perhaps one of them, and the most common that I've experienced, was what enlightenment really is. And this can send one into an entire roller coaster worthy of pursuits. That there's a book actually called Halfway Up the Mountain, and it was written by really people who are doing the best they can. But the way that it was written was there was no system about it. There was nothing, there was no curriculum, there's nothing to take me there. It's just speaking about it. And so this speaking about it creates a non-standardized approach, what liberation really is. And this tends to be of itself very confusing for a sincere seeker who just wants to know the truth. Like, I don't have time to be told little snippets here and there. Just tell me, help me out. And so one really, despite whether there's few or many misconceptions, I think what's more important is one needs to investigate using their mind. One needs to question and ask and research, do their own research. And there's no real easy way to do that, except the only way, because a person doesn't know. They don't know who is really capable of helping them. So not knowing, naturally one will have to investigate and they will have to hop here and there. This is a natural journey for every seeker. So I wouldn't really be even concerned about misconceptions or notions. All that I think matters is that continue with dedication to want to understand what is the truth. Not personal truth, but the truth. And that's what really matters at the end of the day.
And I notice in your classes you have references from different teachers. So I think your main teacher nowadays is Nima, and then you use Swami Paramathananda's transcripts, if I understand it correctly, in Chinmaya's and Dayananda's books.
Yes.
So you try to provide a holistic or very broad view on what Vedanta really means. So you're not only focusing on one specific teacher, but you try to get a holistic view on it. Is that correct?
That actually represents my approach, what I just said earlier, which is about research and having that holistic approach so that one's not stuck to one single point of view. And my whole life has really been reflective of this, investigating different perspectives to ensure that I've got sound, firm knowledge. And so that attitude now carries over into my own classes, where, sure, I have a dear teacher, Nima, but at the same time, I've also been a follower of other teachers too, like Paramarthananda, Dayananda, and Chinmaya. And further, because I went to and studied from Chinmaya school, it gives me different perspectives about the teaching. And end of the day, it's really the same knowledge, but there's still nuanced perspectives that if I were to only use one teacher, then I would be missing out, I believe, a range of perspectives that might rub off well on some listeners. So for that reason, I like to bring it all together. When I'm teaching any retreat, I'll take different teachers and I'll look at their notes, I'll look at their teachings, and I'll just ask what makes sense, what is the crux of this verse. And I'll take 4 points of views and put them all into my own notes. And then I'll add my own notes on top of that and combine it together. So that way when I teach, I'm not delivering just one teacher, I'm delivering 4 teachers plus Andre. So this is also because I strongly believe in quality. And coming from a business background, naturally one will learn to provide service. And service in a competitive marketplace requires you to deliver quality, because that's what people buy. So years of that training of optimizing the product and refining it, never stopping to refine it, that rubs off on my teachings. So in that same manner, I believe in quality, and quality requires hard work, and hard work requires a lot of time. So it's not easy to look at 4 different texts for one single verse if you got 108 verses. So that's several months of work. But nevertheless, that is just ingrained in me. And passing this on to our listeners, what I want to say really is what makes a discerning mind, what makes a person who is very nuanced in their thinking, is this very attitude. It may not be exactly this kind of time investment, but it's this care for knowledge, care for quality, care for the research makes sense, care that your thinking has different standpoints. And when you come from this care, then it just comes back to you. And then people ask you, you're thinking well, you're understanding this so well. And I say, how you got so much punyam? And I say, well, you can call it that. But in actuality, if you look at the background of the person, they're sitting down with their head down for hours per day. And they're just concerned about genuinely passing on what's quality and what's unique to the audience. So this comes, and I've taken this from the business background, and this comes into my teachings.
Yeah, I think Chinmayananda also said it once. He was approached by a student who asked him, how did you become such a wonderful and bright and illuminating person? And Chinmaya also said, it is work. It's like building a house. It's one brick after the next. So you can't really say you're just a wonderful person. It actually is just a lot of work.
Yeah, it's brick by brick, day by day, years of late night staying, waking up early, and of course taking care of one's health, and because we also need to balance. And the irony is, if one just does this all day long, then they will lose other skills like social skills and basic health skills, and that will contribute to the quality degrading in the rest of their works. So one has to find that genuine balance amongst their investment in the studies.
Yeah, that's why these big swamis always have a lot of people around them who take care of the basic needs, and so that the swami can focus on the studies.
And that can also be done on your own if one is very effective in their approach, and one can definitely accomplish so much just by having that discipline in their life. And that's what I learned. That's my whole life, is really just finding that independent person who's effective at what he does and how he does it, and getting the most out of the minimum time that's assigned.
Yeah. And I can talk from my own personal experience that your teaching is really, I'm lacking words, but it's fascinating. It's exciting to listen to you. It's always something new. It's always giving me new ideas, new ways of seeing the teaching. And naturally, my next question will be, are you planning to teach more retreats? Are you planning to teach longer retreats? Or are you planning to continue as it is with like 2 week-long or 10-day retreats per year and online teaching on Sundays?
If I am asked to do something one more, that will be 3 per year, then I'll gladly say yes. So I'm open, and this is what I love to do. And if it's made easy for me to, just walk in and teach, because the logistics are very hard and I just don't have time for that. But if someone can arrange that, whether it's in USA or India, then I will gladly do a 3rd retreat too.
Yeah.
So,
but that's your maximum. You want to teach like 3 retreats per year, like maximum?
I think 3 retreats per year is possible. 2 is already stretching it, but 3 is, I still have space for 3.
But interesting. Okay, then I think that was part 1 of our interview.
Okay, there's part 2. We can do that too.
Or do you want to share some final words, something that you want to express?
I mean, see, there's so much information online. You can just get so much as to what is Vedanta. And this is why I haven't mentioned what is Vedanta here, because these are just basic questions. I teach, I actually deliver this knowledge to the person. I make the person understand. And that's teacher's job, is not to share academic information, but to actually transform. And so I encourage anyone who's listening that, you see, I've been seeking for a long time, about, I think, 15 years. And having listened to this interview, you might infer that I work hard and I research and I do my work with dedication. Now, imagine that. That means about, on average, I would say 8 hours a day on average for years. Okay? Without a teacher, I've got nowhere. Because I was always self-employed. So going out or fatigue was never an issue for me. I always had all the time in the world to pursue. Now imagine that you got all the time in the world, you've got a discerning mind, you are a thinker, you are an inquirer, you are sincere in your pursuit. And despite all of that, for years and years, you got nowhere close to the truth. Until the teacher came, as he said, Jane Schwartz. And he just, in those 30 days, revealed more than I could have done in probably 20 lifetimes. This is my genuine experience. And so it shows the value of a teacher. And today's AI is not going to do any better. It's only going to add more friction to the person, thinking, oh, I don't need the teacher anymore, I've got AI. But in my experience, it's not any different than having self-study. Self-study can get you to a certain point, but if you really want to break through that whole journey of, I want to understand, transform my life, one needs a human being, because we're all learned it to make changes, to take each other seriously when there's a face-to-face, because then we're a lot more vulnerable and a lot more allowing ourselves to transform. When we're on our own, we hold all those unconscious patterns, and therefore the transformation cannot express itself. See, the irony is when one gets uncomfortable, which is going to a teacher, that is when most changes happen.
Ah, interesting.
But that very discomfort stops us from going, and so we continue for years and years in our comfort, not really moving forward. So one has to take the courage to be uncomfortable and communicate with a face, expose oneself to a face, be vulnerable to a face. And that alone will exponentially take the person forward more than they could ever have thought possible. That's my experience.
Very nice.